Good to go?
Yep.
Good evening and welcome to the Morrison County Board of Adjustment public hearing for July 22nd, 2025. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I have a few items to cover before we get started, so please sign in at the door if you have not already done so. There you will also find a detailed handout of the step-by-step procedure we will follow tonight if you wish to take one. Please put any electronic devices on a silent mode at this time. Also, please note that all testimony is being recorded for the record. Members of the Board of Adjustment are appointed by the County Board of Commissioners with one member from each of the 5 commissioner districts. Land Services staff is here to assist the Board of Adjustments with its duties. The task of the board is to consider requests for variances and appeals from an order, requirement, or decision made by a county zoning official in accordance with state law and county ordinance. Each request is considered on its own merit. The burden of proving a practical difficulty rests with the applicant. If the variance is granted, it is granted to the land, not to the landowner. There's a protocol for how we will proceed tonight. For each variance request on the agenda, we will hear a staff report, testimony from the applicants. The board will discuss and gather more information as needed. Next, I will ask if anyone in the audience is wishing to speak to this request. Each party, please go up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and give your testimony. Please be as factual as possible and direct all statements and questions to me. After all testimony is complete, I will close the public hearing portion of the process. The board will then review and discuss the case in terms of our finding of fact criteria as required by Minnesota statute and county ordinance. We will have a series of votes, discuss whether conditions be made, and have a final motion to approve or deny the request. Based on the findings after this final vote on your request, you may leave if you wish. We do have 3 agenda items tonight. And the first one is going to be the Riser Cabin, 25596 Quarter Road, Piers, Minnesota. 56364, an application for an after-the-fact variance to exceed the allowable guest cottage square footage. Please come up to the chairs up front here and have a seat. And then when you're settled in, please state your names for the record.
Ann Woodhall. Rose Pingle.
Thank you. Darren, staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is an after-the-fact variance request to continue an oversized guest cottage. Those requirements are found in section 707.4. Those are presented here. This is an aerial photo showing the property. The property is highlighted in blue. This is a view from the water body showing mostly the boathouse, but the guest cottage would be located kind of in the middle of the frame to the right of the picture behind the water. So this is this is the site drawing that was provided, kind of showing where the building that we're discussing is here. The view from the water, we've been out here with the cabin located here. This is a picture of the structure from the view from facing by the house north. This is the same thing from facing the lake then. So this parcel is a conforming duplex lot. In 1989, a permit was granted to construct a 28 by 28, which is 784 square feet, storage shed that met all setbacks. The Land Service Department received a complaint that the shed was being utilized as a guest cabin. A guest cottage is allowed on a lot of this size with a maximum square footage of 700 square feet. The applicant is requesting a variance to continue that guest cottage with an 84 square feet over the allowable square footage. The county does not have any information on the septic system on this property. If the variance is granted, the Land Service Department recommends a condition that the septic system be inspected and sized for the number of bedrooms in the cabin, between the cabin and the guest cottage, and if that is up to be upgraded, if it fails, and/or it be sized appropriately. These are your criteria questions. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Anything to add or to the report?
It is a three-season cabin, and the accessory structure is three-season too. So we use it essentially from May through September.
Okay.
So, yeah, and so with the guest cottage, it's rarely that we use it as a sleeping quarters. It's just a handful of times during the summer when we have overflow sleeping. Other than that, it's essentially storage.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, in regards to the application staff report, I'll open up to the board here for questions and comments.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
so I guess one question I have, so when were the sleeping quarters added? Were they added way back when it was built?
Yes,
Back in-
we were unaware that that was a violation. So yes, there were sleeping quarters in there.
So that was your parents that did that then, or
Yes.
that was what, okay, well, that's kind of what I thought, but I just wanted to verify that. And then, I guess, the other problem I'm really having with this app, I mean, it's a good application, you put a lot of work into it, but I'm having myself personally, I don't know where the other board members are, but a problem with the practical difficulty coming up with that. And that is, and that's the hardest question for us to answer, is that practical difficulty. So I don't know, I mean, if you can maybe talk a little bit just about your property, what's unique about it, and,
The property is a beautiful piece of property. We don't have a wetland, we don't have any topography issues. It's very well drained, and you're right, the property can support a building such at that size. And as Darren mentioned in his opening, that it is a duplex lot. And I understand from the ordinance that we could have a guest cottage on a duplex lot in addition to the dwelling. So,
thank you.
it's hard to find a practical difficulty on that, but the task at hand is to bring that building into compliance, and we want a reasonable solution.
Yep.
And the alternatives to constructing a wall and adding a door to the accessory structure to put in living quarters or guest quarters, that is expensive, and it just really wouldn't suit our needs. We would be back asking for a variance after the fact because 10% of the structure is 78 feet. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't allow a whole lot for what we use it for. Okay. So it's just not practical for us to use it that way.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Marv?
So you brought up that you use it a handful of times a year at most, so that's 5 times at most?
Right, during the cabin season,
Okay.
during May through September.
So Darren, something I've been thinking about here, how many of these individuals we see that someone comes on with a camper, motorhome, parking it there, using it for a few days, and here it's in compliance that way. How often can that be there? It's like 10 days, correct? And if this were the same way, essentially the same way, used a handful of times, if they had themselves a camper parked there, it could be all legal, correct?
Yes, so campers are allowed for up to 16 consecutive days in a year without permitting. A lot this size, that'd be not a problem. After that, it would be allowed year-round with a permit. So you could be there long-term with a permit or 16 days, consecutive days without one.
So I look at this and say, I'd rather being able to have something would fit in there and have a septic would be able to handle it, and rather than a camper sitting there with stand out. I mean, this blends in very well in. So, but then as George brought up here, how do you end up finding this here practical difficulty? And so that is one of the criteria questions, and I'm struggling with this also. So thank you.
Thank you for that. because I understand your argument, and that's exactly right, where having a camper on your property versus a structure like this that blends into the surroundings, and why is one a violation and not the other? So, yes.
Darren? In 1989, when this was constructed, do we have the same regulations in place today in regards to this type of building?
In 1989, the ordinance would not have allowed for living quarters within the shed. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
The ordinance in 2019 was amended to allow for the guest quarters, which is the 10% thing that you're hearing about.
Okay.
That came about in 2019. So prior to that, it was zero, because unless you had a guest cottage, then that could have been permitted as a guest cottage to the same rules, same standards that we have today, the 700 square feet, 15 feet.
Gotcha.
tall. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, with that being said, here, if they would drop it down 84 square feet, they wouldn't have to go through this whole process, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, not a whole lot, but it's a hassle, but it's something to think about.
Mr. Chair.
Clint?
So kind of my observance is if the building was 28 by 25 instead of 28 by 28, it would meet the criteria. It's 3 feet, okay? So if it's the luck of the draw, this was done before you guys owned the property, right? Your parents, somebody else owned it, right?
Right.
Okay. So one thing to think about is there isn't anybody that's gonna put a wall up and have a 3-foot room. That's just ridiculous. But that's something we gotta consider, okay? But when I look at it, we look at a lot of different things, and we look here like, is the property overused? This one meets all setbacks. It's a big piece of property. I mean, it can stand more than what's there because of the size of the property. It's got lots of trees, lots of vegetation. So for me, is the property overused by doing this? No, it's not. We're talking 3 feet the length of that building. We have rules, and we have to live up to them, and what's reasonable, and like you said, try and solve a solution to whatever we can do the best, not only for you, but it's for the land, okay? So that's where I look at, sometimes 3 feet's a big deal, okay? In my opinion, I don't think this 3 feet matters that much because of the size of the lot. It's not overused. Nobody can see it. It's a structure. Yes, you can have a camper there for 16 consecutive days, but you could put it there 15 and pull it out for 3 and bring it back for another 15 and pull it out for 3 and all them things, right? So we're trying to make something, and then this way here, if you stay compliant with the sewer, I think it's just a lot more, I think I read in your application here, I can't remember where it is, I was trying to look for it. I think it was the last one. Here, let me just bear with me for a second because I think this is important. The minimum benefits to the county appears to be far outweighed by the detriment the applicant would suffer if we were forced to put a 3-foot wall in there. And I think that was, so when I look at that, to me, that's a statement that I can agree with. So this is just my overviews on things, just talking through it. You want to look at practical difficulties. We never find one that meets all the setbacks, meets all setbacks by a long ways. It's a big piece of property that has lots of trees and vegetation. There's no runoff to the lake. If you look at the lake frontage, it's actually kind of bermed up, except for, I would say that would be, to me, the southeast corner. Seems like some water maybe runs that way, but not. So to me, what's different of this property, what's unique, you just don't see one like this that meets everything. So that's just me talking. That's all I have.
Mr. Chair,
Brett?
just some comments to go along with the other board members here. This was a permitted structure back in 1989, and we're here looking at it as an after the fact because they're either been guided or they're attempting to change its use. It's not a storage facility or a garage that it was built for and permitted for in 1989, but it's been used that way ever since. And so we're trying to figure out, this 84 square feet on the after the fact portion of this. We got to remember that this thing was built, it was permitted, it was placed in the location where it was supposed to be, and that's where it is today. The question here is, its use has changed because it's got some space inside it. And so to make that conform with today, there is an option for them to have it as a guest cottage. If they do it as a guest cottage, it's 84 feet in addition. Basically, that's the eaves on both sides. The 2-foot overhang is 56 feet down each side. You're 112 feet there. So, that's kind of what we're chewing on here. So, answering these questions in the affirmative is important for us to be able to do that, but we got to put some common sense with it too, and that's what this board's struggling with.
Thank you, Brent. Darren, another question here. Land Services Department received a complaint that the shed was being utilized as a guest cabin. So when you get a complaint for something like this, you get a name, date, what was the date you responded?
I don't know if I have that information with me.
Because if they built a cabin in 1989 and nobody in the county or anybody else knew about it, and they've been living there or using it 5 times a year for 25 years, and somebody gets irritated, mad, or has a hissy fit, calls the county, and we're talking about 25 years of use over 84 square feet, and we wouldn't have known otherwise, and the reasonableness that goes behind that. I'm just trying to, in my head, say, why? How do we get here? Like, what's the?
Gotcha. I do have an answer to that question.
Okay.
I see my letter is in the staff report. So I would have been out there in October of 2024, last fall.
Okay.
And then so that first letter then asking, or inquiry went out December of 2024. So that would have been the first time we'd have been noticed of there being living quarters within the shed.
Okay.
Was October of 2024.
Got it. Thank you.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
regarding that. So are you saying that you did not receive a complaint, a written complaint from somebody outside of
not
Morrison County?
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we received a complaint, and in October of 2024, I viewed the property, determined if it was valid or not. And then I wrote you the letter after that.
Yeah, because I
Okay.
think, I'm sorry, I think John's question was, what was the date of the letter and who sent it? Is that right?
Well, I wanted to know when the complaint happened.
Yeah.
When did we respond to it? Who did it? Doesn't really matter at this point. I did ask that initially, but after thinking about it, it doesn't, we're here already, so.
So-
October of 24.
So you responded in the same month?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yep, Marv.
So a few comments. One of them, this is a compliant lot, which was brought up by the rest of us, that we have a lot of lots that are compliant, which is good. And another concern we had here is the septic, and we talked, there was something that wasn't brought up, but it was a septic that have to be passed and to make it compliant also. So I'm assuming that would be a condition that would be put on this, that it would have to have a septic that would be pass and can be compliant for this variance to go through.
We'll just use the condition that was read at the beginning of the meeting.
Mr. If I may?
Yep.
You certainly can. It would be a requirement, if approved, of the land use permit process as well, that there'd be a compliance inspection done, but certainly
No, if that's there, it's fine.
could be done as well on there, as stated in the staff report, yes.
Perfect.
Mr. Chairman, I do have one question, just for the record. There is no plumbing in this building, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, we're going to move on to the public comment part of the meeting. So anybody wishing to speak to this application, please go up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and your facts. Any public comment? Any public comment? Oh, there we go.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Archambault, and I'm part owner of the cabin next door. And I just wanted to attest to the fact that the guest quarters is very rarely used. We're up there like every weekend, and usually there's only one or two or, people from the family there, and they all stay in that cabin. So it would only be like on maybe Memorial or Labor Day weekend or something that there would be more people than that there. That's all.
Thank you. And I'm going to ask one more time. That'll make my third and final time. Any public comment? We will close this section of the meeting to the public. And we'll move back over to the board here for the criteria questions. And prior to moving on to those questions, one final question for you, Darren. Over the last 25 years, minus October of 2024, how many complaints or issues have been called in for this property?
This specific property?
Yes.
I'm not aware of any.
Okay, thank you. Okay, board members, we're going to open up to the questions here. Any final comments, questions before we get started? Clarifications? Okay. Question number 1, is the request in harmony with the general purposes and intent of the Morrison County Land Use Ordinance and Comprehensive Plan? George?
I'm going to use the applicant's response to this question. I thought they did a really good job. The applicant's request is in harmony with the general purposes and intent of the ordinance and comprehensive plan. The ordinance allows for a guest cottage on a duplex lot. The building is consistent with size and character of other structures in the area. There are no encroachments into sensitive or natural areas or property lines. The building is approximately 150 feet from the lake, so there is no risk of increasing erosion or no shoreline alterations involved.
Thank you, George. Anybody have anything to add? Question number 2, is the applicant proposing to use the property in a reasonable manner not permitted by land use ordinance? Clint?
Yes, this property is a duplex lot with a seasonal dwelling, and then they have this accessory structure, we'll call it accessory cottage or guest cottage or whatever. They're allowed 700 square feet, and this one's 784, so they're asking for 84 feet of extra. I think that's very reasonable. Their property, I stated earlier, it's a compliant lot. It's a big piece of property, very well vegetated. There is no signs of erosion or anything like that. I think so. What they're proposing basically is to get 84 extra square feet. I think that is very reasonable. So that'd be my answer to question 2.
Thank you, Clint. Anybody have anything to add? Okay, question 3, will the issuance of the variance maintain the essential character of the locality? Based on the letters that went out, you do have somebody here in support, and the pictures that we saw from the water, which are not, I pointed up there and they're not up there, but the pictures that we do have in the application, you couldn't even see the structure from the water itself. And not being on site, only having the pictures to go off of, and there's no, everything looks like it fits right in with the rest of the lakeshore and the homes that are there. Anybody have anything to add? Question 4, is the alleged practical difficulty due to circumstances unique to the property? Marv?
Well, this is the one I struggled with, and I thought about this a little bit. So you're only asking for 84 additional square feet, as what was brought up by board members. That's so minimum, but it is still a variance that needs to go through the process, and you're going through the process here. And here, when that 90-some% of the time, this building that you had proper permit for it, everything else, it was used according to the way it was permitted. As a lot of these places, and I'm not condoning it, but they're used for additional sleeping, whatever. And I brought up earlier, what would you rather have? Would you rather have this, or would you rather have a camper sit there and working through that whole process? Not that it's condoning, but in 2019, the regulations got changed, and it's a duplex lot where they could split this, but they still want to keep it whole. And in 2019, it allowed for putting a guest cottage, meets all the setbacks and everything else. So the regulations came in their favor back then. And so with that being that route, it kind of makes it unique.
Thank you, Marv. Anybody have anything to add?
Well, I would probably just like to add that statement that Clint read off earlier. You know, the minimum benefits to the county are far outweighed by the detriment that not approving this, the applicant would suffer if they were forced to alter the structure. I mean, we're talking 84 square feet out of almost 800 square feet. It's nothing.
Well said. Thank you, George. Question 5, is the need for the variance created by actions other than the landowner or prior landowners? Brett. Did I not say that? Brett. Yep.
Thank you. So this is unique. The need for the variance is created by this being a built existing structure that was permitted back in 1989 and used maybe appropriately so back then, but things have changed since then, and what they're attempting to do now is to make it in compliance with the county ordinance. And so they need to apply for this variance in order to do that. And so the actions, I would argue, are created by the rule changes that have occurred over the years. And simply what they're trying to do is make it conforming today and moving forward. It wasn't something that they did, it was before their time, so it's not them. It may have been their father, but the father had built it under permit. So it's kind of a unique situation there. So I guess I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Brent. Question number 6, does the alleged practical difficulty involve more than just economic considerations? George.
Well, you know, with a lot of these things that we deal with, you know, economic considerations are always a part of it, and this application is no different. I believe that the parents thought they were acting in good faith, probably didn't realize that they could add that wall in there, or they were unaware of the non-compliance. The rest of the family, or the I guess daughters, I'm assuming, were unaware of the violation. And I guess allowing this to be a guest cottage on this large lot, to me, I guess it's almost a no-brainer. That's my opinion.
Thank you, George.
Mr. Chair.
Clint.
I'd just like to add that, you know, we're sitting here saying that 84 feet don't matter, you know, it does. In this case, with the lot and all the setbacks are met and the size of the lot, it does matter. Now, if this cottage would be 35 feet from the lake, it'd be half the size and encroached on the neighbors, things like that. 84 feet is huge because then it's overuse of the property, and I don't think that's the case with this one. So I just, it's all part of it. It's just hard to get to that. So I just wanted to say that at the end, what I just stated probably has something to do with every one of these questions. So I just wanted to save it for the end.
Thank you, Clint. Anybody else? Before we go to the vote, Do you want to reread the condition that was brought up at the beginning?
Yes.
About the septic?
Yes. A condition could state, the septic system be inspected and sized for the number of bedrooms that the cabin and guest cottage have, and that be upgraded if it fails and it be then sized appropriately.
Got to vote that way, or you're on the water.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Mr. Chair?
yes.
Just for some clarification on that, so this guest cottage does not have water and sewer. And so is there a separation here, Darren, back to the cabin that we're talking about, that it has to be suited and sized for that? Or are we adding the bedrooms of the cottage? Because you could now have 5 bedrooms or 6 bedrooms, you know, with the cottage, and that not having running water out there. I just want to understand that.
So, kind of two things going on here with that, so I understand. So if it's approved, they come for a land use permit, it would require a compliance inspection. If everything passes, sizing is never taken into consideration for that. But with additional people being housed within a guest cottage, we always want to make sure then, if this was permitted new, we would count the number of bedrooms in that structure, the number of bedrooms in the current structure, the actual current cabin, and you would size it appropriately for that. Because people sleeping in that guest cottage would be utilizing the facilities in the main cabin for showering or something like that. So we want to make sure that it can handle it, is the idea.
So, just so I understand that, if they go in and have their compliance inspection done and performed, and it says that the sewer septic is compliant today, the rest of that is moot at this
Then
point.
the second part of that would be making sure that it's sized appropriately. So the number of bedrooms that is the sewer is sized for matches the number of bedrooms as what is on site.
So if the current site is for a 2-bedroom.
Right.
And the cabin has 1 bedroom and there's 2 bedrooms out there, that's 3, they would then have to size it to a 3.
Correct. That is the intent of the language here. Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure that the applicants know this moving forward,
Yep.
that that's what's
And I
going
do have a
on.
follow-up question on that. So we understand with a guest cottage, it can be anything. It doesn't, it could be sleeping, it could be living space, it could be all these variety of things, storage. So what if we don't have any beds in there? Then it's not deemed a bedroom. Is that correct?
Well,
Because there's not going to be any walls in there. We're not going to establish rooms in that structure.
The area that you have dedicated for sleeping would be considered a bedroom.
Okay.
So right now I would say you have one would be,
So that would be considered, so if we have 1 bedroom in there, it would be, or 1 bed in there, it would be considered 1 bedroom.
right.
Is that, okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Yep. Good question.
Good.
Mr. Chairman, something just popped into my head. When we were out the viewing, there was an outhouse out there. Does that have to be addressed also?
Again, it will be as part of the permitting process if this is approved. It would be part of, but if you certainly want to make that, because I'm guessing that is what is serving this use. If you want to specifically tie that in, that is, I think, certainly acceptable. But it would be required if this is approved as part of the permitting process.
So can you clarify what I'm not sure I understood what you meant.
Much like what we talked about, the building permit or the land use permit, if this is approved, would require that all the septic systems on that property be inspected. If that's an outhouse, if that's a mound or a drain field, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So the outhouse that he's alluding to would be required to be inspected. And so if you want to include all septic systems on this property be inspected, yes.
Well, that would be the intent.
Sure.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Just a follow-up
Of course.
question. So if one of the two septics fails, do we have the option, let's say the privy fails, if we abandon the privy, we would still get our variance with an acceptable septic inspection and permit?
May I, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so the condition that they're writing here would be attached to the variance if it's approved. So the variance would be approved. This would be something that would, if that happens, this would be something that would happen afterwards. So we would work with you as staff to determine if the sewer fails, how it upgraded. You wouldn't be coming back here. That would be something we would do with you.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank you.
Yes.
Make sense? Okay. And before we go on to the vote here, everybody was, except myself, on the property on Friday the 18th. Ready to go? Question 1, is the request in harmony with the general purposes and intent of the Morrison County Land Use Ordinance and Comprehensive Plan? George?
Yes.
Clint?
Yes.
John is yes. Marv?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
Question 2, is the applicant proposing to use the property in a reasonable manner not permitted by the Land Use Ordinance? Clint?
Yes.
John is yes. Marv?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Will the issuance of the variance maintain the essential character of the locality? John is yes. Marv?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Clint?
Yes.
Question 4, is the alleged practical difficulty due to circumstances unique to the property? Marv?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Clint?
Yes.
John is yes. Question 5, is the need for the variance created by actions other than the landowner or prior landowners? Brent?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Clint?
Yes.
John is yes. Marv?
Yes.
Question 6, does the alleged practical difficulty involve more than just economic considerations? George?
Yes.
Clint?
Yes.
John is yes. Marv?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
Have all the questions answered to the affirmative? Is there a motion to,
Yep. Additional ones.
So, Mr. Chair? Yep. Mr. Chair?
it's optional.
Yeah, just, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
So when I look through this application and I look through the after-the-fact additional consideration questions, I think most everything was answered in our finding of facts that we went through already. I don't see any reason to go through the after-the-fact additional considerations, because I just don't see where it's gonna give us any more or less details than we already have. So I would make a motion that we do not look at the after-the-fact variance additional considerations.
I will second that.
All in favor, Brent?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Marv?
Aye.
Clint?
Aye.
John is aye.
Okay, then, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve this application with the condition.
I will second that.
Motion was made by Clint and seconded by Marvin to approve the variance as requested. All in favor, say aye. Brent?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Marv?
Aye.
Clint?
Aye.
John is aye. Your variance request is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Okay, agenda item number 2, we are going on to Brian and Kelly Becker. Please come on up to the table here, or the seats. This is for an application for a variance to encroach on the road right-of-way setback with a newly registered feedlot. And there's no property address here. Is that accurate? Just the lot. Please state your name and address for the record.
Brian Becker, 30584 203rd Street, Pierce.
Jared Becker, 30584 203rd Street, Pierce.
Okay, thank you. We'll start off with the staff report. Darren?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this request is to separate a poultry barn facility from an existing feedlot. They would then be encroaching on the road right-of-way and a non-feedlot residence setback with a newly registered Tier 1 feedlot with an encroachment on the feedlot setback with the home. So section 1208.1 is the ordinance criteria, specifically 660 feet from a non-feedlot residence to the feedlot and 200 feet from the road right-of-way. So this is a picture of an aerial photo of the property. The highlighted in yellow parcel, or excuse me, the highlighted in blue parcel is what we're speaking to. So the southern one. Yep, so here's a little zoomed in on that, with the home specifically located in this area. So here we show the setbacks from the dairy and how this would work. 660 feet being the blue line for the dairy operation, and then 660 feet for the poultry operation. So being these two are looking to separate, it kind of creates two different setbacks happening here. This is a photo taken of the home, proposed home location, so facing south. And this is then standing by the chicken barn facing north to the current home across the road. So this property is currently part of a larger feedlot operation comprising of a dairy and poultry. The applicant plans to deed the dairy operation, which is the north side of the road, that home and the acreage on it to Jared Becker, and retain the poultry operation on the south side of the road and build a home. So the applicant requests variances from the ordinance for the following: to establish a new Tier 1 poultry feedlot within the setback to the road right-of-way. 200-foot setback is required. The setback, the existing barn is 40 feet from the north right-of-way line, and which is a 160-foot encroachment, and 172 feet from the west right-of-way line, which is a 28-foot encroachment. Number 2 is to establish a Tier 1 poultry feedlot within the setback to a non-feedlot residence. So a 660-foot setback is required. The barn is 185 feet from the non-feedlot residence, which is a 475-foot encroachment. And then number 3 is then to construct a new dwelling within that setback to the dairy across the road. A 666-foot setback is required. The dwelling is proposed to be 513 feet, which is a 147-foot encroachment. And these are your criteria questions. That's all. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Anything to add, revise on the staff report?
No.
Sounded good?
Yep.
Okay, we'll kick it off with the board members here for questions and comments on the application, and open the floor.
Mr. Chairman.
George.
So I guess, looking at this application, if the feedlot were not split out to two feedlots, even if it wasn't split out, there's a lot of these setbacks wouldn't be met, correct? All the right-of-way setbacks for everything would never be met.
Correct. It's currently non-conforming to our rules as is, yes, with the barn to the roads, yes.
So basically, the big thing we're looking at here is building that house and encroaching on the new feedlot that's been established across the road. That's in a nutshell, that's basically what we're looking at, because the rest of it is really a mute issue, isn't it? Realistically?
So essentially what is, the request is being framed as if they were brand-new feedlots. And so that's why, being there, we want to separate them. All right, so if they're brand new, what would you need a variance for as they are? And that's how it's framed. So to the road, to the house, to the feedlot. And so, yes, they're already there, but they're there as one feedlot. So it's kind of a way to, all right, now we're going to separate these things. What would they need if they were to be built like this? And so it's kind of a way to clean that up and make that clear.
Okay. Thank you, Darren.
Mr. Chair, this question is to Darren. We didn't have a lot of these setbacks. It started off, the first setback, I believe, was 1,000 feet, and it got dropped down recently to 660. What year was, this barn was built in 1984. What year was that 1,000-foot setback put in play?
I believe that was 1998 is when the first feedlot standards came into play.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Clint?
Darren, can you go back to that picture where it's give the two circles? There you go. Okay. So again, I think Darren's staff here said we're looking at this like if they're going to build this barn today. Okay. So if you look at that, I think the barn, she'd still be tough for that to meet the setbacks to that other house. Okay. But as the barn, it's not going to move. That's there. So that we got to try and figure out how this is going to work, right? Okay, so now we're looking at this new house. You look at the lay of the land there. For them to move that house way to the south, that's just not feasible from the way the actual property, the elevation of the field. You go to that'd be north, so that'd be east, right? In that pasture or whatever that is, you know, that's still too close, whatever, okay? So, when we look at this, one thing to think about is, you know, we took off here 4 years ago or something, we took off setbacks from one feedlot to the next, okay? So really there isn't too much of an issue from feedlot to feedlot. The issue is from feedlot to the house, okay? And then also feedlot to the other house. I think, well, we can't debate it tonight, but, you know, if the houses were part of a feedlot, this wouldn't be an issue. So when we're looking through our comprehensive plan and land plan goals and objectives, when you look through and we're trying to ensure that the county protects the places for most suitable for agriculture. That's not just for the land, but it's also for animal agriculture, not just for crops. And we look at that. I think we've got to worry about road right-of-way, some of them rules. But then there's some of them here that it's pretty tough to it contradicts itself. So now we always worry about a feedlot to a residence, okay? But now we got two feedlots, and basically we got to figure out how we can let this other feedlot have a residence. And to me, it's just kind of wrong that we got to sit here and kind of figure out how we can let two feedlots have a house, right? To me, that just don't make sense, right? But the way the ordinances are and the rules are, we have to work through that. So that's what we're looking at tonight. So that's just some overview and just some thoughts that I was looking at. One thing I want to point out is they need 20 acres to have this chicken barn. They have 40. If you look in the area, it meets, you know, other than from one farm to the next, it meets all the other setbacks as far as other residences in the area and things like that. And then I also looked when we were out there on the site visit, like, okay, in the future, would there be another house want to go across the road? Well, there's possibly some area to the left of this picture that somebody could possibly build, yes, in that corner, but that's about it. There's already to the upper left corner, there is a house there, so the practicality of somebody wanting to build a little closer, it just ain't there. So when you look at the whole area, it just makes sense. So now we just got to figure out how we're going to do this. So that's just bringing just some food for thought, I guess. If we were going to do this, it's pretty close to the road, but we've allowed some other chicken barns that close to the road with some conditions, okay? This one's been in operation since 1984. So if this was brand new coming in for other ones we did, probably the thing that we would condition would be that the feed and all that stuff be on the other side of the barn. This one's already here in use, so that's kind of hard to do, okay? So just some things to think about, and that's just my thoughts on this.
Mr. Chair,
Marv?
a few comments. First comment is, why did this ordinance first come into play? Usually most ordinance laws and regulations come into play because of somebody complaining. They had a right to complain. And how do you go ahead and have respect for one another is, you know, some of these barns, like the chicken, emit some smells that people don't like, pig barns, dairy barns. And how do you have harmony between someone building stuff out there? So what we have going on here, we have the same family here, and they're willing to work through this here. And this ordinance is in play to protect from one another. And instead, they're trying to work through it. And if we allow this variance in years to come, this variance goes to the property. And more likely, well, we don't all live forever. And who's going to be taking over the chicken barn? Who would be taking over that home? Well, when they come into there, they'd say, okay, we know what's here already. We're not coming in, we're not going to be building too close and have to deal with these smells and everything else. They know the conditions and what it's like. So you have harmony there. So I'm just saying these are the reasons for an ordinance, and now we're trying to work through it in a proper manner, and that's why you're here.
Mr. Chair,
Brent?
I think we got to break this up. We're kind of going down our multiple rabbit holes here, and we're talking about the second one first, and the first one we're really only supposed to be looking at the road right away and the setback to a newly created feedlot. So I think we got to be focused on that one, get through that one before we can move on to the next one, which is the other rabbit hole that we seem to be going down. So let's stay focused on the one that's at hand first.
Mr. Chairman, I do have one question of Darren. So is a septic here going to require a variance? Do we know that or not? For the new home?
Sure. My well, not for any setbacks, and so the setback is, or excuse me, the sewer is proposed right here. The sewer can be any distance from the farm, that's not an issue. So to my understanding, no, there is no need for a variance for the sewer. They found at least 12 inches. I'm fairly confident of that. I don't have that in front of me, but I'm pretty sure that's been already done. Maybe the applicant knows, I think Al was out there, looked at that, right?
Right.
Yep, okay.
So a type 1 septic will be?
I'm pretty confident the answer is yes to that.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
Yep.
Thank you.
Question for the applicant, in number 4 here in your application, what reasonable use of your property is lost by the strict enforcement of the related ordinance? Your response is, if a variance is not granted, I will not be able to operate as a dairy. Why is that?
As a dairy?
That's mine.
That would be his.
Oh, shoot, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. How'd I mess those two up? Could've used different pictures.
It's the same township.
I withdraw my question. Hence my confusion why I asked it. Yep. Okay, anybody else before we go to the public comment? Okay, public comment. Anybody in the audience wishing to speak to this, please go to the podium. Any public comment? Any public comment? Any public comment? We will close this section of the meeting to the public. And we'll move on to the finding of fact criteria questions. Does anybody have any clarifications, questions, comments before we move to these? Okay. Question number 1, is the request in harmony with the general purposes and intent of the Morrison County Land Use Ordinance and Comprehensive Plan? Marv?
I believe it is. It's ag, and it'll stay within the ag in this particular area. And it was brought up also is, will they have type 1 septic system? We will pass with that. So, I mean, I think all the steps rather than that setback there is definitely in harmony.
Thank you, Marv. Anybody else? Question 2, is the applicant proposing to use the property in a reasonable manner not permitted by the land use ordinance? Brent?
Yes, I mean, this is one farm running today as it has been for 40 years.
50.
Or better, yeah. And so what we're looking at here is, to encroach on the setback and creating two farms instead of one for the building and the splitting off. And so the applicant's proposing to use the property in the same way it's been used for nearly 50 years. So it's just splitting this out, and no matter what we do, it was an existing farm. We're just trying to make it into two farms. It's a family farm. And because it's split, not only as a farm, but it's being split by roads and right-of-ways, it complicates matters here. So, but they are proposing to use it in the same continuous use that it has been. They're not really changing anything. It's just creating the two farms and two feedlots instead of one.
Thank you, Brent. Question 3, will the issuance of the variance maintain the essential character of the locality? George?
Yes, I believe so. The area is zoned ag. We were out there, there's only one residence that I could see to the northwest. We are creating 2 feedlots here instead of 1 feedlot. It's a transition from a father to a son on part of it. And the father is taking the chicken barn. And usually all feedlot owners live on site. So this would not be anything different than you would see anywhere else in Morrison County.
Thank you, George. Okay, question 4, is the alleged practical difficulty due to circumstances unique to the property? Clint?
Yes, it'll be quite a bit, so Darren, you might get writer's cramp, but I'll refer to the applicant's answer. Buildings were pre-existing. The topography doesn't allow building anywhere else. I think there's a lot when it goes into this practical difficulty, and I don't know if we can narrow in on just one thing. Part of it is, yes, we're looking at this one, not the farm across the road, but it is part of it. Here we got a family that to be able to make it affordable for the son to take over the farm, he can't take over the whole operation. This applicant doesn't want to give it all up because they got to live for a while too. They need a place to live. It's partially it's dollars and cents, and we're going to have to answer that question at the end. But every answer in every decision made on a farm is about economics. So when you look at just trying to be able to keep the next generation of farming going, you add in your setbacks to the road right away, setbacks to the other house, non-feed or the other residents, finding a place to build on this property in a proper place without building into, too low a ground or something like that. That makes it a little more difficult. They have more than enough acreage. There's just a lot of things when you look at this practical difficulty. It's not cut and dried. I do believe what the applicant's answer was that, buildings were here and this and that, and you could say, well, you could always live somewhere else, but that's just not the heritage or the way farming happens in agriculture right now. I think our ordinance contradicts itself a little bit on this. I'm not going to argue about that, but we look here in our comprehensive plan that says that we want to ensure all these things and protect ag and all that, and then some of our setbacks can't, we have to have these rules and are kind of a blueprint, sheet of all the rules, and sometimes that don't work for every single one of these situations. And here's one where it really makes it difficult for this one here. I know we're not supposed to use ordinance for practical difficulty, but when you look at the situation on this family farm and what they're trying to do, that ordinance makes it very, very tough to be allowed to split this, be able to build this home on this feedlot with 25-year-old rules getting implemented, and then before that, there was, that was 14 years of rules before they changed them in 98. And now we're at 25-year-old rules now. It just, there's a lot of things here. So I ain't gonna narrow down one practical difficulty. I think there's just a ton of stuff here.
Thank you, Clint.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to add one thing, and that's probably the thing I brought up earlier about the septic system. If that house were to be moved to a location where it would meet the setback, we would probably be back here for a variance for a type 3 system, because there is a lot of topography change to the south. So just to add that on.
Thank you, George. Okay, question 5 is the need for the variance created by actions other than the landowner or prior landowners, and I'll take that one. Pretty straightforward. The buildings were all there before the rules were, and that wasn't the landowner or the prior landowners. Okay, question 6. Does the alleged practical difficulty involve more than just economic considerations? Marv?
Yes, and one thing that was brought up, they want to build up as far away as they can with trying to ask for the least amount of, variance. And when they wanted to do this, what's ending up happening is they would, if they would be doing that, their home would be put in a lowland. And that land, you couldn't do the septic, and it would create all kinds of issues. So where they're placing it as far away as possible without creating issues, and they checked with the township, and the township was okay with putting approach there. So they thought about more things just in economics.
Thank you, Marv. Okay. We'll move on to the vote here, unless there's any further comment, questions, or clarification needed. Question 1, is the request in harmony with the general purposes and intent of the Morrison County Land Use Ordinance and Comprehensive Plan? Marv?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Clint?
Yes.
John is yes. Question 2, is the applicant proposing to use the property in a reasonable manner not permitted by the land use ordinance? Brent?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Clint?
Yes.
John is yes. Marv?
Yes.
Question 3, will the issuance of the variance maintain the essential character of the locality? George?
Yes.
Clint?
Yes.
John? John is yes. Marv?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
Question 4, is the alleged practical difficulty due to circumstances unique to the property? Clint?
Yes.
John is yes. Marv?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Question 5, is the need for the variance created by actions other than the landowner or prior landowners? John is yes. Marv?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Clint?
Yes.
Question 6, does the alleged practical difficulty involve more than just economic considerations? Marv?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Clint?
Yes.
John is yes. That puts all of the questions answered to the affirmative. Is there a motion based on these findings to approve the variance as requested?
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion to approve this.
I will second that.
Motion was made by Brent and seconded by Marv to approve this variance as requested. All in favor, say aye. Brent?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Marv?
Aye.
Clint?
Aye.
John is aye. Your variance is, as requested, is approved.
Thank you.
And don't go anywhere. Most of the time, people leave, but not this time.
You can't leave him on his own?
Leave them hang. You know what you're in for years to come.
Last and final agenda item is Brian and Kelly Becker, 3-0.
No, Jared Becker.
I know what it says. I'm just reading what Brian and Kelly Becker / Jared Becker. 30584 203rd Street, Piers, Minnesota. Application for a variance to encroach on the right-of-way with a newly registered feedlot. I know this will seem redundant, but please state your name into the microphone.
Jared Becker.
Thank you. Okay, staff report. Mr. Darren.
Right. So this is to separate the dairy operation from the poultry barn with an encroachment on the road right-of-way with a newly registered Tier 1 feedlot. So that's section 1208.1, specifically that says 200 feet from the road right-of-way. So again, this is the aerial photo with this is the yellow area now that we're talking about. And now it's blue, but same thing, zoomed in. So this is a photo showing the dairy barn, which is located here. And then the new addition that will come up would be back here. Dairy barn being 62 feet approximate to the right of way. This is a photo from the yard showing the edge of that barn and then the road being over here. So the property is currently part of a larger feed operation comprising of a dairy and a poultry. The applicant plans to obtain the dairy operation north of the road, the home and the acreage from Brian and Kelly Becker. This would require the dairy feedlot to be registered separately from the poultry barn and meet the Tier 1 feedlot setbacks. So specifically, the applicant is requesting the following variances. To establish a new Tier 1 dairy feedlot within the setback of the road right-of-way. 200 feet is required. The closest animal holding area is 62 feet from the road right-of-way, which is 138-foot encroachment. And then expand the existing non-conforming barn with a 60 by 100-foot addition. This addition would be 111 feet from the road right-of-way, no tier change. And these are your criteria questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Anything to add or change?
Just the addition, just to the back a little bit to the east.
It'll
It's not
start-
actually connected to the barn.
Okay.
Start on the east end of the barn. We'll start right there and go east.
And then,
Yep, like that.
Yeah.
Yep, sure. Instead of here, it'd be here.
Okay. Got it.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
So Darren, on our site visit, I guess we never went back there and looked where they want to put that addition. And I guess my question for the applicant is that just going to be for young stock or just a holding area for dairy cows or?
a holding area for dairy cows
Okay.
and dry cows.
Okay, so it wouldn't make any sense to put it anywhere else?
No.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Clint?
got a question for Darren. Maybe you can answer this. Okay, Darren, if we're looking at this picture, where I'm a little confused is, we're doing the second part of this variance, it'd be for that addition. But, if we're looking, okay, they're 62 feet from the road right away, so that's what they're asking for is, variance for that. But if you draw a line over where there's any animal housing, it's 62 feet. Wouldn't it be better just to ask for 62 feet? And then anything in that area would be part of the feedlot, because there's still animal holding, right? There's no building, but there's still a fence there and there's animal holding in that lot. So to me, if you're asking for 62 feet for that barn, it should be 62 feet for that animal holding area also, because it's too close to the road right away. So if that's all in one, I don't understand the reason for having ask for that addition, because it'd all be an animal holding. Because that lot isn't complying either with setback to the road.
Correct. Yes, this is the current or the 62 feet
Yep.
you're speaking to, yep. And
Yep.
so in splitting that out, and then the new operation will be further away, or the new building will be further away on, looks like entirely open lot area now. And so I think it's being tied in here because it's part of the new operation that's proposed. And so it's being pulled all together,
Okay.
so it's clear.
That's fine.
But
But don't we have to put something, being that this open lot is part of that don't be 200 feet, 200 feet too, so that has to be worded in here somehow, that lot can stay there.
yeah, the variance for the 62, but yeah, I see what you're saying. We could
Yep.
also include, this at 70 feet or this open lot,
Basically, you just can't encroach anymore to the road right away. I just want to make sure that they don't lose something.
Yes, that is the intent, or my understanding of it is yes, that, at 62 feet, this is all allowed to be,
Okay.
the operation is allowed to be there as is, right? With this, if this is approved.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, that's all.
Mr. Chairman, it's because if the building was there and it's already an animal lot, it really wouldn't make any difference if the building was there, really, right? I mean, it just got a roof over it.
Correct.
I mean, he could put a roof over that whole lot if he wanted to spend that much money.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Anybody else? Okay, moving on to public comment. Any members of the public wishing to speak to this application, please go to the podium, state your name and address, and state your facts. Any public comment? Any public comment? Any public comment? We will close this section of the meeting to the public and move on to the finding of fact criteria questions. But before we do, are there anything else hanging out there for the group?
I just have one question. because we got so many parts to this and the last one. So when I look in here, what they're asking for, establish a new feedlot and expand, but then now the house is too close to that barn, so how is that worded in here to make sure that that's binding? You know, this house is too close to the chicken barn across the road, which feedlot to feedlot, they're fine.
Right.
But that residence to that feedlot, are we okay because we gave the variance to the chicken barn that it don't apply to this residence?
Yes, that's the way I understood.
I mean, that's fine, I just want to make sure that we're not,
Yes.
that everything is.
The other variance allowed for the chicken barn to
Okay.
be placed within the setback of this home.
Okay.
Yes.
Then I'm good, I just want to make sure it's all covered.
I can confirm that.
On that same line, so what about the new home? Does that need to be reflected in this variance also? The new home is going to be too close to this feedlot.
Correct, and that is, or their new home south of the road, you're talking, right?
Yep.
Yep, and so that was in this one.
Okay,
Their new home is part of the, to encroach on the road right of way, and then encroach on the feedlot with a home, and encroach on the non-feedlot residents with the poultry barn.
okay. Well, I just want to make sure that
Yep.
we've got all the moving parts.
Those were all addressed in
Covered
this
here,
one.
yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank
Oh,
you.
rabbit hole.
I know it's a rabbit hole, but doggone it, I'd sooner have a rabbit hole than a doggone gopher pile.
Yeah. Thank you, that answers my questions.
That's part of the Brian and Kelly Becker application, not the Brian and Kelly Becker and Jared Becker application.
Just want to make sure that we're good.
All right, question one, is the request in harmony with the general purposes and intent of the Morrison County Land Use Ordinance and Comprehensive Plan? I'll take that one. I believe it is. You're not asking for anything that isn't already in the exact place that it is today or is making the same encroachments on that road right away. So I think, and it's more than reasonable what you're asking for. So yeah, it does fit within the plan. Anybody else? Question two, is the applicant proposing to use the property in a reasonable manner not permitted by land use ordinance? Marv?
I believe it is, as it's an existing dairy, and it's just keeping it operating the same way. They've been operating it, and the only thing he's asking for, is from the road right away with, for an additional building. So here, yeah, it's very reasonable what they're doing.
Thank you, Marv. Question three, will the issuance of the variance maintain the essential character of the locality? Brent?
Yes. We got one farm today, we'll have two farms in the future. They're not changing any tiers, it's gonna continue to operate much the same way as it has for the last 40-plus years. So it's gonna stay in that same location, the roads aren't moving, the barns aren't moving, the farming isn't gonna change, it's gonna continue to operate the way it has been.
Thank you, Brent. Question four, is the alleged practical difficulty due to circumstances unique to the property? George?
Yes, the buildings were pre-existing prior to the feedlot rules. They do not meet right-of-way setbacks. Dairy operation would be adversely handicapped by strict enforcement of the ordinance. The feedlot has historically always been registered as one feedlot, and with the son taking over the dairy operation, one feedlot needs to be split into two feedlots.
Thank you, George. Question 5, is the need for the variance created by actions other than the landowner or prior landowners? Clint?
Yes, this property began development in 1956, and with the farm buildings being established in the 60s, so we're looking at close to 70 years. A lot of things have changed, not only in farming practices, but also in county ordinances and rules and things like that. And it has kept continuing on with the farming operation, and now all of a sudden today it don't meet setbacks, and that's unfortunate because, we put setbacks in for a reason. But we don't want to discourage, the farming practices that we have and continuation of a family farm. So I think there is a lot of actions here other than, the landowner, yes, and prior landowners, but it's also part of just regulations and things that's changed over the years, so there's more than just the landowner and the prior landowners. There's a lot of things involved here, county roads, setbacks. I'm sure back in the 60s, there wasn't much of a road there even, so just a lot of factors in it. It's not just the landowner and prior landowners.
Thank you, Clint. Question 6, does the alleged practical difficulty involve more than just economic considerations? Actually, your answer that you just gave pretty much suffices for that. Again, the buildings we're not moving roads and we're not moving buildings as it was stated before, and the rule changes over the years with as long as you've been in business and in farming. It's just into the times as much as it is anything else, so. Okay, anybody else? On to the vote. Question 1, is the request in harmony with the general purposes and intent of the Morrison County Land Use Ordinance and Comprehensive Plan? John is yes. Marv?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Clint?
Yes.
Question 2, is the applicant proposing to use the property in a reasonable manner not permitted by the Land Use Ordinance? Marv?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Clint?
Yes.
John? John is yes. Question 3, will the issuance of the variance maintain the essential character of the locality? Brent?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Clint?
Yes.
John is yes. Marv?
Yes.
Question 4, is the alleged practical difficulty due to circumstances unique to the property? George?
Yes.
Clint?
Yes.
John is yes. Marv?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
Question 5, is the need for the variance created by actions other than the landowner or prior landowners? Clint?
Yes.
John is yes. Marv?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Question 6, does the alleged practical difficulty involve more than just economic considerations? John is yes. Marv?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Clint?
Yes.
That puts all the questions to the affirmative. Answer to the affirmative. Is there a motion to approve the variance as requested?
Mr. Chair, I'd make that motion to approve it.
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
Motion was made by Brent and seconded by George. All in favor, say aye. Brent?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Marv?
Aye.
Clint?
Aye.
And John, is aye. Variance as requested is approved. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Next agenda item is new or old business. Relying on you, Darren, for that.
I have done, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
And the next one is the minutes from July 8th.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the July 8th minutes.
I'll second it, Mr. Chair.
Motion made and seconded to approve the July minutes. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Minutes approved.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Meeting adjourned at 7:53 PM.